Hi, everyone. It's Carolyn Moore from the Modern Widows Club, and this is our Fatherless Boys and Men series. And this is our second interview, and we have Tanner. Hey, Tanner from California.
How you guys doing?
So great to have you, Tanner.
Thank you.
We know your mom, Wendy, really well. Tanner's from California. He's 23 years old, and his father, Darren, passed away from a car accident in October 2010. He was 12 years old at the time. And he said, although we had the love and support of our family and friends, nobody really knew what my mom and I were going through. It wasn't until 2017 when my mom joined Modern Widows Club that she finally got connected with women that shared similar stories. And congratulations, you've just recently graduated from Cal State Fullerton with a business management degree. That's amazing.
Thank you.
This is what all of our widowed moms hope. You know, we get our children raised and adulted and out into the world. And so I just want to start with, you know, your comment was that she finally connected with women who had shared similar stories. Do you think that's important for widowed moms?
Yeah, for sure. Because, I was young, so she kind of had to stop grieving, or she kind of had to put grieving on hold to take care of me, and I graduated high school in 2016 and I went off to college, and it was kind of at that time where she kind of melted down a little bit. I could see her grieving a little bit more. She was alone a little bit more. And then in 2017, she was able to kind of open up to people, trying to trust people that shared similar stories. You go out and talk to friends or family who don't really understand what you're going through, and they're trying to be as supportive as possible, but they can't offer as great as advice as people who are going through the same thing she's going through.
Right. So was there any guilt, about leaving your mom? How hard was that? Because you had been together for so many years. What was that like? Yeah.
I mean, she's always been a huge supporter of mine. She would never tell me as much as she wanted to tell me that, stay close to home. I only went to San Diego for a year anyways. And then I came home and went to Cal State Fullerton. So I ended up living at home, but yeah, she would never be one to tell me to stay home, for her own selfish needs. Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of why we support our ladies, right? Because
exactly,
that separation anxiety is very real, but also the responsibility of raising our children well is also there, because we're doing that in honor, of your dad.
Exactly.
And she's shouldering both of those roles now as mom and dad, and that must have been difficult too.
Yeah, like I would say, growing up, my dad and my mom made plenty of friends, and I would say my mom was lucky enough, and I was lucky enough to have friends, fathers, trying to help, as much as they could.
Right. Is that really is that
helping
what
me?
Is other men, like family members and just family friends? And
like my dad was very personable, and I grew up with him in my life, playing baseball, and I'd have teammates and their dads, and they were all a big part of my life. They still are. I've known I've had some friends since kindergarten, so their dads have definitely stepped in and tried to help fill that role as much as they can.
So you'd say that was a big part of someone stepping in to help counterbalance your mom in her role. In mentoring you.
Yeah, as much as they could without stepping on any toes. They knew they didn't come in trying to replace my dad, and they knew that, and so, but they were pretty good at it.
Oh, that's awesome to hear, because that's actually what I did with my daughters. They were in crew. And so I would go to the coaches and say, I don't know if you realize this, but my daughters don't have a dad. And I'm not asking for special treatment for my daughters, but I am asking you to consider the fact that you're a major male role model.
Yeah.
So that was really great. So, most people, like, for instance, most people didn't know what was going on, personally in our household, just the different the hardships, whether that's maintaining a home or financially staying
Yeah.
above the water,
Mhm.
and then just things that break and just normal life, right? So I think some of the people who watch our videos, they don't really quite understand why widows need anything, because there's this myth that widows are all, wealthy with their life insurance
Yeah.
policies, and they've got all this help from Social Security, and their places of worship and their family are just like there on a dime.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's it really
Yeah.
like though?
Our lifestyle definitely changed. We would go on vacations a lot. I mean, going from a dual income household to a single income household is never going to be easy. Taking half the money away is, I've been lucky enough. My mom's been working as hard as ever to, enabled us to stay in this house, and I can't remember when I moved in here, but we haven't moved since, and I
Right.
moved out now, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that's a good mom, right?
Yeah.
Because I did the same thing. I did whatever it was possible to keep that
Yeah.
thing stable. So
Exactly.
there was always that one thing that wasn't going to change. It was one
Yeah.
thing that I could control.
Yeah. Like I couldn't imagine a life soon thereafter my dad passing in a different house. That was already a dramatic change in my life. I couldn't imagine moving because
Right.
of it either.
Right. Like
Yeah.
it caused you to be in more crisis,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So your mom, she didn't find for 7 years. She didn't find Modern Widows Club.
Yeah.
And so you were old enough to kind of see that difference in maybe her emotional and her inability to really feel like she was connecting with someone. So what was the difference between before and kind of after she found Modern Widows Club? Did you notice anything different in her?
For sure. For sure. I mean, before, I would say she was kind of bottled up. She couldn't really express the way she was feeling all the time, because like I said before, no one really understood what she was going through. And now, she's more expressive, and she feels more free, I should say. For sure.
That's a good way to put it. Well,
Yeah.
I've of course been on the side of mentoring your mom and
Yeah.
watching as she launched a community and then started giving back and serving
Yeah.
other women because she understood, and she has such a huge heart. And so
Yeah.
as she was able to start healing, she opened her life up to dating.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah. That's another thing. Yeah.
another experience. And of course you were in
Yeah.
college and you're having your own 20-year-old life, right?
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
And you're like,
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
Mom. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fine. But
Yeah.
now there's someone new and your mom's
hmm
engaged, and here you are 11 years later, and
Yeah.
life is changing again.
Exactly. It's crazy. But I'm happy for her, whenever she's able to be happy, I'll be happy, so, and I moved out too. So having him here, and it just makes it a lot easier for me to sleep at night.
So do you think that, as a 12-year-old young man,
hmm
you're just coming into yourself, there has to be some kind of thought process of wanting to protect your mom.
Yeah. As much as I could. Like I know, I mean, around the time of my dad's passing, I can tell you how many people came up to me saying, you're the man of the house now, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The immense pressure that put on me was, overwhelming, but
Well, what is that even supposed to mean?
exactly. At 12 years old, I had no idea, did that mean mowing the lawn on, or, fixing stuff that needed to be repaired around the house, or I had no idea, but
That's very much like coming to your mom and go, well, why weren't they telling your mom you're the man of the house now? Like,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
as a 12-year-old. So what have you been able to do? Okay, so there's your mom and her grief
hmm
and the arc of her healing and
Yeah.
making sure she's the support for you. And someday when you have kids, you'll, if you have kids, that
Yeah.
you'll understand this on a much deeper level, the selflessness that takes
Yeah.
to really prioritize the completion of the development of you and the
Mm-hmm.
responsibility of that. But like you, what have you been able to tap in? What was there times when you needed therapy or you needed a support group, or what have you been able to do for yourself?
No, I don't think there hasn't been times where I would need a support group or therapy or anything like that. I mean, like I said, my mom kind of bottled up her emotions at the time so that I could kind of, release mine,
Be a child.
exactly, be a child and go through, all the heartbreak and all the steps of grieving that I needed to go through to get over it. But
Yeah, and I really understand that, because
yeah,
my job was to keep my child's innocence and
exactly.
absorb the difficulty of the reality of our situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like bear it all on my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And so having other women in Modern Widows Club, that's what I've really noticed, is we're shoulder to shoulder bearing that together.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to let your child know that you're having the problems that you're having.
That's right. So
yeah.
So we're doing this series just to really kind of understand what's going on in
Mm-hmm.
young men and boys who's are being raised by our moms, and it's just curious what Modern Widows Club's impact has been. What would you suggest to, for instance, we interviewed Carter and Reese, and they were 15 and 13, not much older than what you were. What would you advise as now a 23-year-old adult man who now has gone 11 years in the future? Like, what would you advise young men? What kind of advice would you have for them if they become fatherless younger?
I would hate to say it, but just like live your life, go through the stages of grief, and you're going to be sad for a little bit, but life goes on. And I was lucky enough to have a supportive mom who allowed me to play sports, and I never stopped doing that. And I've made more friends since my dad's passing, friends that I'll probably have in my life forever. And just like life goes on, you'll probably think that it's going to stop for a little bit, but there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. So what have you guys done in the past as far as honoring your dad? What has happened on those, what we call them anniversaries, the day that your dad died? Have you guys done some special things in
Yeah, for sure. So usually growing up with my dad, we'd always go to King's Fish House. It's a little seafood restaurant that we'd always go to for holidays, like his birthday or my birthday or her birthday, Easter. Yeah, so we'll usually go to sushi or there, depending on the availability, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So what I've kind of realized in talking to you is, I always say to our ladies, I wish we had more of a guy's perspective, because guys, they kind of are just like, you got to keep going. You have to, you have to find a way to move forward, and you have to do whatever it takes to make that happen, whether that's trying new things and I always tell them we kind of need to adopt a little bit of the guys.
Yeah. But I think that was probably part of my mom's problem before finding Modern Widows Club was, her girlfriends were telling her that, and, girlfriends that hadn't gone through that, and she followed their advice and kept it bottled up, and eventually, you're going to implode.
Well, and so then
not a good thing.
These women who are raising children and widowed and have gone through this, there's a whole level of willingness to listen.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So and so living your life and talking. I'm sure that you guys talked a lot, because if she was bottled up, there were things that she couldn't really feel like she could express to you. But now it's a season, right? Like with my daughters in their 20s, I feel, we're in a different stage of being friends and more of support
for sure
to them. And it's good to be here now. It doesn't mean that there aren't down days, because there are some holidays where we're just like, for us, we're just like, one or, one of us might not want to just do it.
Yeah.
We are so understanding of each other and going, hey, this year I just want to kind of like lay low. And so you just have to really be aware of what the other person, I think there's a heightened awareness in families.
Yeah.
Loss, right?
100%. Yeah. Like I would say Christmas was a big holiday of ours that, definitely changed for probably forever, just because, it's not going to be the same ever, but
right.
But we're fine with that. You live and you learn and move on as much as possible and adapt.
Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I know that everyone who's going to listen to this is going to take away, you do need to find things that that bring joy into your life.
Exactly. Yeah.
Life is not going to look exactly like it used to, but it can look different, and it can still be full of life. And when you stick together and you openly communicate, that's kind of a better thing. And for their mothers, encourage them to go and find communities that really understand them, right? Because she's going to bring that home, and it's going to make a better quality family life.
Yeah. And I would say for the mothers with younger sons or daughters, don't try to get them to, release their emotions or, express their emotions, and they'll do it on their own time. Like if I remember correctly, I kind of, at 12 years old, you kind of try to act tough, and my mom was good at just like letting me express my emotions on my time.
That's awesome.
She didn't try and force anything out of me or anything like that.
That's really great advice, Tanner.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we love your mom here at MWC, and I know that your family just recently had a really hard tragedy, and I was able to reach out to your mom and just let her know that I'm here for her. And that's just the beauty of this community, where it's friends, all those friends that came alongside you and those mentors, we call those golden friends.
Okay.
That's
golden
what we call
friends.
them.
I like it. Yeah.
Because they make life,
they might, better and easier.
That's right.
And more enjoyable for sure.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And
of course,
I'm so awesome. It's so awesome to have you. And I know everyone's looking for the next interview, but thank you so much, Tanner.
Of course. Thank you for having me.